Yo, Pistons basketball is back. I don't know if y'all are just looking at stats or if y'all are actually watching the game. So I think the comment section is definitely going to reveal who is kind of just a stan and who is actually a real one who watches these games. But this game had everything that Detroit Pistons fans have come to love about following and supporting the Detroit Pistons. And I want to dive into that in this video. But before I do, this video is brought to you by Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care. You know, the holidays can be tough for a lot of us, whether it's distance from family, relationship issues, social isolation, or struggling to adapt to the weather of this season. Depression and loneliness can get to us all. This season doesn't have to be something to dread. It can also be your opportunity to learn coping skills and the steps you need to move into healthier relationships. Contact Bridges and Stones today for a free consultation with a professional coach to get the support you need. Don't struggle alone. The link is in the description box below. You know, I'm going to be honest. All right, so it's sometimes it's hard to have this stance as a fan of the game, as a fan of basketball, as a fan of the NBA, as a fan of a particular team, right? To deal with a loss, right? And I think a lot of times, there's no, I don't know how people put it, but there's like no, good losses, right? A loss is a loss. I get it. 82 games, there's going to be a lot of losses, there's going to be a lot of wins. But I will say this. There are sometimes a game inside of a game. And we may have lost the ultimate war in this game of winning. I don't even like using military terms for basketball. We may have lost the game, but we won a different game. We won some respect. And sometimes, for those of you who have played basketball before, you understand that sometimes, look, you're not always going to win. You're not always going to have a good five, but you want to leave the court with your respect. And not so much your respect as a human being, as a man, as a woman, right? But you want to leave with a level of respect as a player, as a competitor, as an athlete, that you may have lost, but it wasn't no easy win. It was they had to dig something out of themselves to overcome what you were bringing. Sure, the Detroit Pistons did not have a good shooting night by any stretch of the imagination. It was a rough shooting night. Don't be deceived by Malik Beasley's 26 points. He had 7 threes. He took 19 of them. Tim Hardaway Jr., 2 of 9. And then you have 0 for 3 from Asar Thompson, 0 for 3 for Tobias Harris, 0 for 1 from Fontecchio, 0 for 1 for Ron Holland, 1 for 3 for Marcus Sasser. We shot 27% as a team. That's not going to be really enough to win in the NBA. And yet, this team showed us something. Even if we can't get our offense going, we know how to compete. We know how to get after it. And Asar Thompson's insertion to the starting lineup was a major part of that. And if I'm honest, for those of you who followed last season, these Detroit Pistons, Asar Thompson had a similar start once inserted into the starting lineup. That he started off kind of over-aggressive, overzealous. He gets excited about being a starting lineup and really showing what he can do. But he's kind of young in that he doesn't know how to steady that. He doesn't know how to assert and then back off. Almost like a guy like a LeGuins Dort. Has a very similar type body frame, athleticism, ability to get up into you, but he doesn't do it the whole time in the same way. He knows when to back up a little bit. There's moments when you're right in front of the referee and the other guy is looking for the foul, complaining for the foul. And if you get too close, they are professional enough to know how to goad you into fouls. And Asar Thompson struggled with that last season as well, but I think just like last season, he's going to figure that part out. But here's the thing. He brought a level of intensity to this game. His mere presence, and I say mere presence in that starting lineup, accelerated the pace of the game, accelerated the intensity of the game, and it was only propelled that much more when Ron Holland came in behind him. Both of them struggled with fouls. Both of them struggled with being over-aggressive, but I think to an extent they were carrying the level of physicality and intensity that usually Beef Stew, Isaiah Stewart, who's out on injury, is usually the sole person carrying. Usually he's been the only one being physical, bringing that intensity on defense, diving for loose balls, scrapping on the ground. And that's why he's a culture setter. So when you saw Ron Holland and Asar Thompson bring in that same energy, that same intensity, that same physicality, and how it changed, it reshaped how this team played, it only gives you a further glimpse into the future of what this roster is building towards. You can only imagine if they had Jaden Ivey out there, right? Using that athleticism and that length and that quickness to the ball to play alongside of Asar Thompson and Ron Holland and those boys getting after it. If you had Isaiah Stewart out there as well, right? You could see how that intensity was leading to Jalen Duren's play. I want to look at some stats here for Jalen Duren, because I think this has to be acknowledged. It has to be acknowledged that without Isaiah Stewart, and yes, Paul Reed had a pretty good game, but it was Jalen Duren doing the heavy lifting against the starter, against Kessler Edwards, who I would say lightly outplayed him, right? But Jalen Duren only had 3 fouls in this game. 3 fouls. Yes, it speaks to the intensity and the physicality on the perimeter, but you can also see what I've been saying for a while, that as you improve the perimeter defense, Jalen Duren is not getting caught out of position as much, which allows him to contain at the rim that much more. It allows him to elevate his defensive play because it buys him that extra split second to read what's taking place and to get into the right position. Now, something else that I do need to point out. Paul Reed had a hell of a game. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He was a plus 11, plus minus for the day. Even, I would say, dare say, Simone Fontecchio fed off this energy. Simone Fontecchio had a put-back dunk. He actually tried another one in the game, almost got it. But Tech was diving on the floor, jumping into passing lanes, getting steals. And I said this from the very beginning, that a major component of this team's offense needs to come from their ability to turn other teams over, to be able to get out into passing lanes, get steals, get deflections, and use their athleticism to get into transition. Because when you can have Ron Holland, Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, even Tobias Harris, right, Malik Beasley, able to get easy layups, even Cade Cunningham getting easy layups, this feeds into their shooting. This feeds into their ability to be able to score at a high level, even when their shot is not dropping, because this was the game that they were playing today. The shot was not dropping. Cade Cunningham was moving the ball. The offense was doing what it's supposed to do. Ball movement, guys getting wide open looks, and it was coming short and it was bricking. It was not dropping for this team. It just wasn't. And that's going to happen on nights. That's going to happen. But do you have something else to go to? And in this game, it was their defensive intensity and their ability to get out in transition. But let me say this. Jalen Duren, I want to give you your flowers. You stayed in the game, played 25 and a half minutes. You didn't foul out against a large front court. And I've been saying this for a while. The Detroit Pistons have a small front court. They are pretty small. And when they face teams with multiple bigs, and in this case, you got a 7-foot Kessler Edwards, 7-foot Lauri Markkanen, 6'10" John Collins. They struggled to clear those rebounds and get back headed the opposite way. And as a result, the Utah Jazz were able to control a lot of this game. All right, they were out-rebounded 62 to 39. 62 to 39. And this is where Asar Thompson has to be better. Asar Thompson, you can't foul out. Yes, you're playing great defense. When you have 2 fouls in the first half, you can't pick up the third. You can't foul someone 50 feet from the basket. You have to back up. You have to know that your value is not just in your perimeter pressure, but in your ability to contain on the perimeter, your ability to clear defensive rebounds, your ability to get into passing lanes. You do far more for this team than just pressuring 92 feet. You have to be able to stay in the game. Ron Holland, you too. You are now becoming important enough to this team. Right? Out of that starting lineup, Asar Thompson had a 0 plus minus. Cade Cunningham had a -4. The rest are at -17. And I will shout out Tobias Harris. And I say this all the time. As a veteran, he knows how to do other things other than score. 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Didn't have a good shooting night, but he's still contributing. Tim Hardaway Jr., God, I can't wait for Ivey to get back and get in that starting lineup, because 2 of 9 from 3, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, no steals, no blocks, -20. I've said enough. But it's to say that this team has to know those other gears, those other facets that they can rely upon when the shot's not dropping. Because Malik Beasley can't always bail you out. He can't always shoot 70, 80% from the three-point line to bail you out. Cade Cunningham can't always have a 30-point triple-double. You're going to have to be able to rely on other things. But this also leads me to one of the points that I want to point out here. I've been saying this. Oh, my God. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley do not need to be on the court together anymore. They just don't. They just don't. They just don't. Cade Cunningham is not the physical athletic presence you need to defend the wing when you also have a small front court and you have Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. I get it. Malik Beasley is 6'3", Tim Hardaway Jr. is 6'5", Cade is 6'6". You know, you think Cade can contain the wing. The problem is he doesn't play like a wing. He plays like a guard. So when he's defending a wing, a real wing who's going to be more physical, most of the time more athletic, he's not getting those rebounds all the time. He's not getting those box outs. And he was putting in great effort. He got a block in this game. I want to say he got, I'm looking at the stats right now, he got, he got 4 blocks. Damn. Good shit. Like, for real. And at the same time, he had 4 rebounds. In a game where you're getting out-rebounded 62-39. Ausar Thompson, you can't get into foul trouble. But more than anything, you can't put out a backcourt that does nothing for what your team is needing the most. And that's the containment on the perimeter defensively and the ability to get in and help rebound. But all that's to say, watching this game, this was Detroit basketball through and through. If you noticed, my man Detroit Kool-Aid, right? He's been talking about for a while the need for more fans to come into the stadium to support this team. Today, this game was really what fans want to come and see and cheer about. That you competed in a way that made them proud. Yeah, your shot wasn't falling, but the physicality, Ron Holland being willing to square up, like Big Stu was usually the only one having to do. Ausar Thompson checking Jordan Clarkson the entire length of the floor. And Ron Holland coming right behind him and checking him. Right? Frustrating the hell out of Colin Sexton. Right? This is what we've come to desire to see from this team. A level of intensity, competitiveness that does us proud. And I look forward to this continuing when Ivey gets back. But I also look forward to continue seeing Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland elevate their game, to start playing a little bit smarter, more intentional, and start stepping into the roles that they're being given. Because I just dropped that video on the backcourt, right? Giving more time and minutes to the backcourt of Sasser and Malik Beasley. And we saw it in this game. We saw it. And I think more things are coming down the road. I'm getting to that later. But as always, I want to know what you all think of this game. They fall short to the Utah Jazz, but gave us something to cheer about. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.